Alright, you awesome war-torn camera geeks. Here's a real fun camera to play with. It is the Yashica EZ F521. Now, the first thing you'll notice is once you take the lens cap off, oh, that beautiful orange hue on this lens. That's the thing that I think really catches most people's eyes when they see this camera. Now, this camera came out around 2009, I believe, and I got mine back then from a guy named Dirk. Reminds me of some guy in the Netherlands or something like that. Yeah, I got it from a guy named Dirk, all the way from Japan, at a site called Japan Exposures. Now, I think from what I can see, the site is still there, but I don't know if this guy is around. So if anybody knows whatever happened to this guy, Dirk, let me know, because he was a cool guy. But anyway, yeah. So I think it cost me less than $100. I basically got it because out of gear lust, pretty much. You know, as I said, this orange hue on the lens was so captivating, and there was a lot of buzz around this camera at that time. So, you know, I decided to get it. And no, like I said, you know, this is not a high quality camera. Okay, so you got to take that expectation out of your mind. Okay, this is a camera for fun, in a lomography type way. And this camera is what they consider a toy camera, in the spirit of toy film cameras like the lomography cameras or the Holga. In fact, when this camera came out, it was labeled as the digital Holga. The lens is equivalent to 42.5 millimeters in 35 millimeter terms, and it is not autofocus, it is not manual focus, it is fixed focus, and you only got two focus settings, which is infinity and macro. And the way you do that is you just twist the lens, which is this ring right here. All right, and to top that off, the lens is a plastic lens, but in my experience, the lens is surprisingly sharp, and so you're more likely to get blurry photos from a slow shutter or, you know, handshake, as opposed to getting blurry pictures from the lens being plastic. Okay, so if you look at the controls, they are really sparse controls. Right here is basically nothing, but it looks like made to look like an old school kind of film thing. You know, there's got to be something here, right? There's a power button, shutter release, and as I said, the controls are really sparse. You get three modes: camera, playback, and video, and that's it. And it actually does video, not HD, of course. I think it's 640 by 480, which is like old school digicam resolution. And but anyway, you know, you're not expecting a lot out of this camera, and the controls are really sparse. So I'm going to turn it on and let's show you guys what it looks like. So it's like that. One cool thing about it is, okay, let's say when you turn the menu, you have your choice of resolution, quality, metering, white balance, exposure, driver mode, effect. You can put some cool effects on it. Let me see what they got in here. Black and white, sepia, negative, red, green, blue. You also have a date stamp, which, believe it or not, some people like, because it gives you that old nostalgic film effect of a date stamp. And that's pretty much it. I mean, and basically the camera is pretty much a point and shoot. Okay, and another thing that caught camera lovers' eyes, no doubt, is the Yashica name right there. But I have to let you know, this is not the Yashica of the Contacts Yashica fame. By 2009, Kyocera had already sold off or closed off its Contacts Yashica business, and the name was bought by a company, I believe, in Hong Kong. And so this camera was actually made in China, and it is not the Yashica of yore, okay? It is Yashica in name only. It is not the Yashica that you knew, okay? All right, you awesome and vicious camera geeks. Now, you have undoubtedly heard the saying, megapixels are overrated. And, you know, that is true to a certain degree. But it really depends on the job you're doing, right? You may have also heard the saying, not all megapixels were created equally. And that is true. Okay, so right here is a good example. Here is a high quality 5 megapixel camera. This is the Olympus E1, a high quality 5 megapixel digital camera. This is not a high quality 5 megapixel digital camera. But sometimes when you got all the right combination of all the wrong elements, sometimes that can lead to interesting results. Alright, so what do you guys think? If you have one of these cameras, leave a comment. Or even if you don't. If you got something to say, leave a comment. Personally, I love the images out of this camera, man. It's got a look to it, you know what I mean? In fact, it's got a look to it, especially in color. I don't actually like this camera so much for black and white, but in color, it actually looks pretty cool. And in fact, people actually like the color out of this camera so much that some folks have actually made a Photoshop actions that they're trying to sell based off this camera, which I found it hard to believe. I just found that while researching the camera for you guys. But yeah, I was kind of surprised to see that. But I think it's more than just the processing. It's a combination of the low resolution, the sensor, the lack of flexibility with the ISOs and the shutter speed and the aperture. Also the plastic lens has a lot to do with it. So as I said, it's all the right combination of all the things that we would think of as the wrong things. Plastic lens, I said, limited ISO, hard to focus. You don't really know what you're focusing on. But as I said, sometimes in those rare occasions, very rare occasions, when you got all the right elements of all the wrong things, sometimes it works. And I think this camera works. But anyway, I love this camera and I'm glad to have it. Now, if you guys are looking for it, I'm going to say right now, just as I said about the contacts and digital, forget it. And there are many reasons why, and I'll leave a link to my article. It should be done, if it's not done right now, it should be done tonight or tomorrow. That will give you guys a more in-depth look at this camera. So if you're interested in picking up one, it might lead you in the right direction. But what I want to say is that despite the fact that it is no camera legend, it is not a camera legend, and it's not a camera legend at all, and certainly not a camera legend that can compare to something like the Contax and digital. But believe it or not, it doesn't mean that it is any easier to find, because in fact this camera may be even harder to find than the Contax and digital. See what I'm talking about? Look up eBay, look online, you're not going to find any of these cameras, and there are probably a lot of reasons for that. I believe a lot of them are probably not working properly, and the ones that actually are, the people are just holding on to them because this camera was not on the market for that long. So it probably is not worth it for anybody to actually sell it, because I don't think they can fetch any more than $50 to $100 for this. So anyway, once in a while they may show up though, you don't know. So like I said, check out my article. They actually made this in a couple of other variations with different names, and I'll have that down in the article. So that might help you in your search, but no guarantees, because these cameras are actually also very hard to find. But I hope it speaks to the variety of things that you'll see on this channel. As I said, you'll see things that you won't see on a lot of other channels, because I love all cameras, man. You're gonna see the latest and greatest, and you're gonna see some of the worst and some in between, like this. And actually this is tipped more towards some of the worst. But anyway, as I said, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and hit the notification button, so that you'll know when I post the next camera legend. And as I said, the reason that you don't know what I'm going to post is because I don't know what I'm going to post. So whatever is going to be the next camera legend is going to be the next camera legend. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you got a little bit out of this cool and interesting camera, and I will catch you guys next time on thecameralegend.com. And this one is going to be really wasted, because believe it or not, this camera is so cheap they didn't even put a sound chip in there to make a shutter noise when you press the shutter. So I'll catch you guys next time on thecameralegend.com YouTube channel.
Cameralegend.com